Erev Shabbos Young Israel, I hope all are well and stay so. Mazel tov to Sharon and Dr. Danny Schlosselberg on the birth of a grandson born to parents Eliana and Dan Cohn. Mazel tov to Debbie Hilio Berger on the birth of her granddaughter, as Yehudit, born to Diana and to Evan Zeisholtz. Mazel tov, late breaking news to Dr. Chaim and Debbie Chaimwitz on the birth of a grandson to Alyssa Justin Shusheim. May you continue to experience in good health, continued nachas to kedusha, and to keep enjoying your grown mishpachas l'archiyavim v'shanim tovim. Describing the Masaos, the list of the 42 encampments in the 40-year desert period. So some of the places the Chumash mentions, albeit briefly, important events, whether the death of Aaron HaKohen, whether at the very beginning, the death of the Egyptians, whether a couple of places they didn't have enough water. And it's several events, not too many, but there are events that are mentioned in the listing of the soldiers, the listing of the Masos. And yet, notes the Meshech Chochmah, one major event, if you get mentioning 5 or 6 things, the top 5 or 6 has to be Ma'amad Har Sinai, the giving of the Torah. That's not on the list. That's the giving of the Torah. Ma'amad Har Sinai doesn't appear on the list. The Meshech Chochmah says for a very simple reason. The same way the Chumash tells us, B'mshoch hayovel hema yalu v'har, when that shofar sounds for that final time, so everybody's allowed to go up. The mountain no longer has any kedusha. The rationale, the reason being, that we're not interested, Hashem is not interested in confining Torah to a particular location, to a specific mountain. And thus, once the Torah is done, once the Torah is given, Har Sinai no longer has any kedusha. It's not any different than any other mountain. So too, says the Meshech Chochmah, a few events are mentioned. The most important event, when mentioning Masaos, in locations, encampments, stops, a journey, so we're not going to mention a particular place. We're not going to mention Sinai in conjunction with the Torah, because Torah can't be limited to one particular location. Shmuel Hirsch would note that the Torah commands in Parshas Teruma that, as we know, there were poles that were affixed to the side of the Aron in the Kodesh Kodashim. Says the Chumash b'tabos ha'aron yu habadim lo yasur mimenu. One's never allowed to remove those poles from the Aron, even when it's at rest in the Kodesh Kodashim. So why is that? It explains from Shmuel Hirsch very beautifully. Because Hav Aron will travel. That's even when the Aron is resting in the Kodesh Kodashim, even when it's home, as it were. They're poles, because the Aron is always ready to move. Torah is not limited to a particular location. It's for all times. It's timeless. No matter where a person is, no matter the context, Torah is always and never limited to a particular situation or a particular context. Have a very, very good Shabbos.